Can capitalism be locavorian? That is capitalism consistent with or compatible with the principles of locavorianism? The conclusion that I would provide would be no. If you're building a strong economy or a strong local economy, what we need is strong labor. We need high value labor. We can't build a strong economy on labor that has low levels of income. And the whole crux of the matter is labor has to exchange goods and services. Capitalism does this through the agency of an owner of capital, but they're like a broker, and between the bankers that provide the actual capital and the capitalists that provide the means of production, the ability of labor to exchange goods and services is seriously compromised. So let's say I'm a painter and my neighbor is a plumber. I need some plumbing work done and my neighbor needs his house painted. And it's possible we could engage in direct barter, but as everyone knows, this is problematical and it's not likely to happen. But if I had the money, I could go to my neighbor and hire him. And assumably, after he got paid, he could hire me. And the outcome would be no different than if we went through direct barter, but it would be more problematical whether this could happen if if we were both broke. If we were in a, say, in a slum in some country and we had no money, we could both be highly skilled, but it would be very difficult to exchange goods and services. And even if we wanted to do it directly, it would be a problem because to buy the paint and to get the plumbing tools and so on would be very difficult. So even if we wanted to do the direct barter, it would not necessarily be possible. So the capitalist purchases all the tools and so on for plumbing and for painting, and then he hires me and he hires my neighbor, and this gives me a broker to go to get this work done. The same goes for my neighbor. Even though we're working for one, we're not working for the other. So through the brokers, we can gain what services we want. But this can create a problem if I don't have a job and my neighbor don't have a job. The brokers can exist, but if they don't see any need to hire me because I don't have money to pay the plumber and the plumber don't have money to pay the painter, me, they're not going to be hired to do the work because the demand for our work isn't there. And this is the dilemma of a lot of undeveloped countries. It's not a matter they don't have people with money or they don't have banks. They don't have the demand. And so let's say a person in a third world country um, buys a ton of plumbing equipment, and he's got all the tools and equipment and so on and so forth. But why is he going to hire plumbers when there's no demand for the plumbing? And this is where we bring in the issue of um, high valued labor. If you don't have the high valued labor, if you're not got the labor with the value, there's no need, there's no incentive to have the high valued labor. And this is tautological in a sense, or almost a contradiction. But if we don't have people making good money, we can't have people making good money because they don't have good jobs, and because they don't have good jobs, they can't hire people who are making good money to do the work they need done. The economy, again, it goes back to two people who exchange goods and services on an equitable basis. But the economy, in the way it's configured, is done through these brokers who are called capitalists and bankers. And they are basically a bottleneck, because they're not going to function as brokers unless they get paid. So the question is, do we need these brokers? Since they are not serving as a good intermediary between me and my neighbor, is there some way me and my neighbor can exchange goods and services without the need for these brokers, and without the need for the direct barter? And the answer is yes, because we can create an exchange. An exchange is basically a locavorian economic unit, or a locavore business. And this is a business owned by labor, by the people who are using the capital. To capitalize an exchange or a locavore business simply consists of labor providing capital to a common owned organization or business or exchange. So if we're talking about plumbers, the plumbers would all provide their equipment and tools to the exchange, and the exchange would pay for this in preferred shares. And then the plumbers would all be paid according to the work they do at a set rate by the exchange. Therefore, as a painter, I would be in a painting exchange, and I would go to the plumbing exchange and say I need a plumbing work done, and I would be debited the cost of what it would take to do the plumbing job. And my neighbor would go to the painter's exchange and tell the painter's exchange I need a painter, and he would be debited the value of the painting work that was to be done. And so this would be all that it would take, both to set up the exchange and to get work done within the exchange, and that is just a transfer of debits and credits. And so the exchange becomes the worker themselves, the labor, becomes the broker, becomes the intermediary. And so the plumbers and the painters and the transportation workers and the housewives and hospital workers and so on, they go to the exchange, they go to the representative of the sector of the work that they need doing. to get their work done. And so the broker becomes the worker becomes the broker, and the worker's representative becomes the broker for the labor. And this way we have direct barter, but through a means of through a unit of account. So this means that we have direct barter, but through a unit of account or a form of money, i.e. the preferred shares. And this enables labor to transact business directly without any third-party brokering, which makes the economy highly efficient.